Yo, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Dead Radio. And obviously, with your main man, Bang is dead. Today we've got a special guest. My main man. He's going to introduce himself. So I obviously have to say this again for the new subscribers, or someone new that's watching. I don't like... let me tell you actually. I don't like describing people. I don't like telling people. I don't like telling people who I think they are. I'd rather have them tell us who they think they are and who they believe they are. You know, if I start this and I have like a long, the greatest blah 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 international, what like,
yeah, it's like
that's probably not who you think you are in your head.
Yeah.
You know, and this is mainly all about you. So yeah, I want you to introduce yourself. What's good, bro? How you doing?
Thank you, brother. I mean, I share the same sentiment, bro.
Okay.
I don't really know how to describe
I'm sorry
myself.
to interject you, right? So
Do one thing.
that camera's for me.
That one's for me.
That's for you, and that's for us. It's
Okay.
part of the story, don't worry.
I don't need to look at that.
No, that's for me, Even though these niggas can't see me, but that's for me. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, introduce yourself, bro. Who are you and what do you do? You can look at the camera, you can look at me. Let's just be having a conversation. I don't want us to think about it as an interview.
Yeah, I'm not gonna ignore it.
Yeah.
So I mean, bro, to be honest with you, I share the same sentiment. I'm also not like really good at explaining who I am and what I do. I just think it's I just, as I start doing it, I start feeling corny.
Right,
You know
of course.
You know what I'm saying?
I've done this, I've done that.
But I mean, for the purpose of introduction, my name is Vaughn Thiel, and I am a independent record label executive.
Okay.
I'm also an artist manager, and I run, for a long time, I ran a creative agency.
Right.
Directed a lot of content, and yeah, man, I just see myself as a young entrepreneur that's kind of figuring it out.
Right. But that's perfect.
Yeah.
You know, straight to the point.
Yeah, man, bro. I really don't know how else. It's like a bio on Instagram.
I don't have a bio. I've had, you know how many times I remove that shit? I probably remove them regularly. Like all it is right now is like my PA's email address. It's like, if you need to get a hold of me, that's where you go. I'm not going to tell you about me because you should know what you're here for. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly speaking.
Man.
So basically how this is going to roll out, we're basically going to talk about your background, obviously because your background plays a big part in who you are today, your influences when you were a kid, what you did mostly, and yeah, so where were you raised and where did you come up? Like where was Vaughn created?
So I was actually born in the Free State.
Okay.
Yeah, so I come from a small town called Kroonstad.
Right, wasn't expecting that one.
Yeah, hey, bro, nobody was. Nobody ever is.
Crazy.
So yeah, man, it's from a small town called Kroonstad. It's just a little outside Bloemfontein.
Right.
I was born there. I lived there till I was about 6 years old.
Right.
My mom and my father obviously had me over there with my one brother Jade.
Okay.
My parents got divorced when I was 6 years old.
Right.
And then I moved to Pretoria with my mom.
Right.
So then for most of my life, I would say that I grew up in Pretoria.
Right.
Schooled there,
Yeah.
Did all the shit there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the real shit.
Yeah, the real shit. The real growing up shit happened there. And then I moved to Joburg like in my early 20s.
For what? University or just your hustle?
Yeah, it was a mixture. It was a bit of university, but then it was also for the hustle, man.
Right. So
It's busier in Joburg,
when you went to university, or what did you study, or what did you want to study?
So I played football, man. I was a soccer player.
Really?
Yeah.
Crazy. Didn't expect that one as well.
Hey, I never do these things. A lot of people don't actually know these things about
Crazy.
me. So I never...
Exclusive.
So I played football for a long time. So I was at the Tuck Sports Academy.
Dope.
So I lived in Hatfield, Pretoria.
Right.
Trained there, played there. So the natural progression was that through the academy, you get selected into the senior teams, and then you go to university there. So I did a couple of years at Tucks.
Right.
And at that point, I was studying, I think it was like a BCom own choice. So I was doing a few business subjects. And at some point, I pivoted to like sports science, bro, because I was just trying to actually play soccer.
Right.
I wasn't really trying to
do the whole
education.
like
the whole dream was to be a footballer from about 18 to about 21.
Right.
And then from 21, I started like reconsidering what I think my career should be.
Okay. Why?
It was, to be honest with you, bro, I just looked around me and thought, well, look, I could probably really push this football dream,
right,
and maybe get to a point. But I mean, if I was objective, I wasn't the best player. I wasn't the best player. That sounds like some dramatic music. I'm having some sad moment about like, I wasn't the best player. Like, but yeah, so I mean, just objectively, I had a look around me, and I wasn't the best footballer in my team. Not to say that like we were bad players, but
right,
we were all really good because we played at a level where we were in the reserve side from the PSL team.
Right.
But to make a career out of football is a very difficult thing. So I just had a bit of like emotional intelligence, man. I just looked around and said, look, 3-4 players in this team are probably going to have careers,
right?
You know, like actual sustainable careers.
And you're not one of them.
Yeah, and I just wasn't one of them, man. I think that's an important like discussion to have with yourself. It's like that honesty, you know. So yeah, bro. So then I had an opportunity when I was about 22, 23, just before the varsity cup football started. So I was in that squad, and then I had a conversation with my coach, man, at the time, and I said, "Yeah, coach, this is what's happening. I've got this job opportunity in Joburg. It's a marketing assistant job at a corporate in the east, man. It was like this Long Meadow Estate or something. It was like some business park. There was a business there that wanted me to come and work for them because my ex-marketing lecturer got the marketing manager job there. So she
crazy.
So I was like tossed up, you know.
Yeah.
And at that point, I just said, "Hey man, this is the situation." And he was like, "Boy, you know, you gotta. I want you to play, you know, because I was kind of like at that time playing probably some of the best football that I was playing in my life, and." Yeah, I just had a moment, bro, where I had an honest conversation with myself, and I said, okay, cool, let me actually stop this football thing. It was hard, Like, it wasn't easy. It was like, from 13 to 23, that's what I did with my life.
Damn.
And then I just said, okay. And then
any anxiety? Like, was there any of those thoughts like, damn, what am I going to do with my life?
Yeah, my team went on to win the varsity cup. And I was sitting...
And you left!
And I was sitting in a cubicle, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Shit!
Yeah,
I'm sure that kills you because, like, maybe that was my shot.
You see, so those thoughts did cross my mind, you know, in that instance. But
did that make you go harder? Because like you could have.
It did. It actually made me go. It actually made me decide that when you make a decision to do something,
right,
you got to hold yourself accountable.
100%.
Right? So I found sort of refuge and peace in the fact that I was decisive.
Right.
So because I was decisive, I was like, all right, cool, man. Shout out to them. I was so happy for the boys. There was no like weird vibes.
Of course,
I was very happy they won, man. Those are my guys. And I was stuck in a cubicle, but I was stuck in the cubicle because I had chose to be there. So that's what motivated me.
Okay.
And then what I did was I quit the 9 to 5 2 months later.
Why?
Well, I mean, I hustled another opportunity. I wanted to get into the creative space.
Right.
So I actually spent 8 months at that corporate job. And I was calling like digital marketing agencies, and then I actually caught a lick because my mother had a friend growing up that had a son that they kind of like raised together.
Right.
At a certain point,
mm-hmm.
His name was Dane. Like, shout out to Dane. He's a good dude. He gave me an opportunity at his digital marketing agency.
Crazy.
So I just called him once and said, "Hey, bro, I'm trying to leave this job, man. I see you got this agency. My name's Vaughn. I'm Dale's son." Like, he was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Sent the CV, and then in January, I joined the digital agency, and that's really when I started getting entrenched into like the creative marketing stuff.
Right.
But I took a pay cut. I was like an intern.
So
I took a level down to get into an industry that I was more interested in.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So now you're in this digital marketing agency, and obviously you're doing the most, I'm guessing, because I mean, you're having a pay cut, you're an intern, you need to show that you're worth being here. So what happens for you to now make that change? Like, not necessarily change, but like, what happens for you to now take it more seriously?
I think at that point,
like, when did you know that you were dope enough to take it seriously? You know what I mean? Like, you don't go to that moment. Yeah,
definitely. Like, to be honest with you, bro, like, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I just knew that I couldn't be in that cubicle anymore. You know? Mm-hmm. And I've always had this thing inside me where it's like, I'm aware of my potential, right? My potential is quite tangible to me. I live with it and feel it every day.
Right.
You know? So I can't lie to myself. So when I get to a point where I know I'm doing something that's not feeding the potential that I believe I have to move, right? So that's what I moved to that digital agency with, knowing that I know I have potential to do something. I don't actually know what's going to happen when I go there, but I know whatever it is, I'm prepared to attach it to my potential. So when I got in, just like you said, bro, I was doing the most. I was like learning. I was mostly spending long nights like researching, learning, reading. I did my qualifications. Like at that point, I got. I was also finishing off my studies.
Right.
Because at Boston Media House.
Okay.
I got a bursary at Boston Media House when I left the football.
Right.
I think it was DJ Fresh. He gave me a bursary.
Dope.
So yeah, that was a blessing because like my parents had to pay for my brother to finish.
Right.
They didn't have to worry about me because the money was a bit tight that time. You know? So I moved in here. I moved out of Joburg, did the job thing, finished my studies. So it was a very intense year and a half of like learning that I went through.
Yeah.
But because I believed in myself enough, and I believed in my potential enough, it carried me through the hardships of like the learning phase.
Right.
And I managed to grow quite quickly in the business. You know? Because a lot of things are like you learn them on the job when you're accepting of learning.
Of course.
You know, it's like if your mind is open enough to learn, even if it's how to engage with people, and every single engagement you have, you figure out how to talk, how to position yourself. All of those little things like added up over time, and I ended up progressing quite nicely in that agency.
Dope.
I went from like intern to lead strategist in probably in 2 years.
Crazy.
Yeah. A year and a half, 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you're leading strategist.
Yeah.
What's next? Because obviously you're not doing that right now, but obviously we get to that. But like, what's next? What makes you leave?
So it was a couple of things. So I was a lead strategist working on a couple of clients. At the time, it was like fairly big insurance brands. A big sort of manufacturing brand. Like I had like quite a portfolio of like quite intense corporates, you know. So there was a lot of skills I developed there in the boardroom and stuff.
Right.
So I'm pulling up in the boardroom, man, like me, you know what I mean? Like and then having to like sell on ideas and stuff to fairly conservative crowds was I didn't know it at the time, but it was like sharpening my thinking process.
Right.
Because I had to find ways to take ideas and make them palatable and understandable to like somebody that actually has no idea what I'm talking about, or the culture I'm referring to, or you know, or even the tech I'm referring to. And that process was it shaped me a lot. So I became very good at like speaking and like weird things, man, that like I mean I was always a talkative, naughty, like.
Yeah, but now you're a talker.
But now you feel me now. I'm like,
now you're a talker.
I'm on my Obama. Yeah, but I mean, like, yeah. So those skills developed, and then I ended up auditioning at Cliff Central when they opened.
Yeah.
So I got a bit of a radio show on Cliff Central for a couple of years, which was
Dope.
quite cool. Yeah. So I was doing the lead agency thing, and then I was on Cliff Central.
What sparked that? Like, what makes you go to Cliff Central? What makes you think you have what it takes to be on radio? I'm just saying. I mean,
yeah,
really.
that's a good question. And the thing is, bro, like I think it's weird. It's a weird thing to say because it's not a thing of arrogance, but I sometimes feel like I have what it takes to do anything.
I don't think it's arrogance. Let me tell you why I don't think it's arrogance, right? Because that's what I hate about society. I hate the fact that society, when you believe in yourself and you trust your dopeness, it's arrogance. Like, fuck that. I think I'm the best. Like,
shut up.
I think I'm the best. You know what I mean? Like, it's just what it is.
I agree with you. I think there is like this like weird thing that's cast over people that have this level of self-confidence.
Yeah.
And they label it like arrogance, and you don't do
Get
that.
out of here. It's just because I believe in myself and you don't doesn't mean I'm arrogant, bro.
I mean,
Sorry.
I think I trust myself enough to figure anything I do out.
Right.
So I kind of wanted to test myself in that space because I like conversations. I have opinions. I actually do want to have an influence on people in a positive way.
Of course.
So I thought, okay, this is a cool platform for me to try and figure it out. So when I applied and I got the opportunity to do it, I was like, oh wow, like I could do this, you know?
Right.
Then I went on this journey with them, and it was a nice around 2-3 years on radio that was coupled with working at the agency.
Crazy.
Yeah, and I had a few shows. Interacted
dope.
with Gareth. I also listened to a lot of Gareth when I was a kid. Obviously, I mean, Gareth was quite a prominent.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, so and he's a very opinionated, like quite a controversial character.
Yes,
so
yes.
I kind of gravitated to that part of him. You don't always agree with everything he says, but
Of course.
But you can't fault the guy for
Having
voicing
ideas,
an opinion.
yeah,
You know what I'm
not
having
at all.
alternative ideas. Yeah. So I like that, and that kind of gravitated me towards radio. But I think as time went on with the radio thing, I realized like, okay, it's not actually the medium I want to operate on.
Okay.
It was a really great experience, but I don't think this is for me going forward. I lost the passion for it or the interest in it over time.
Okay.
So that was happening while I was at that agency, right?
Right.
Lead strategist.
How old are you at this time when you lose this pad?
This must have been about 20, I was about 24.
Okay.
24, 25. So this is like 2014, 2015.
Right. Okay.
Right? Yeah, I just turned 30.
Yeah. I mean, you just told everybody
So I just told them, whatever, man. And shout out to Fred, he was 30.
Yeah, tell everybody's age.
No, because he's going to laugh at that.
Yeah.
So that was about 24, 25. And then I got headhunted at another agency.
Okay.
To come and start up a digital marketing department. Right?
Dope.
So I left the agency that I was at for those years. I still stayed at Cliff Central it was about a couple of months after that. Then I went to this agency and I started there.
Right.
But it was around about that time that I was starting to think about pivoting and starting my own businesses.
Okay. What kind of business were you trying to pivot into?
So
mainly.
During my time, during the last stint at the agency I was at, as the lead strategist.
Yeah.
I met JR.
Okay.
Yeah, I met JR at a birthday party. My boy George Avakian had his birthday at a park in where's this? Walter Sisulu, what do you call that section? Botanical Gardens, yeah.
I think it's the one by Emirange.
Yes.
La Rimsig type vibes. The one with the waterfall.
Yes.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. That's where we shot one of our lookbooks. Yeah.
Fire section. So we were chilling. We had a picnic and JR was there, George, a couple of the dudes, man. I can't really remember. We were hanging out.
Yeah.
And we're just speaking, man, having conversations. I think we must have been talking about music and, I've always been a musically inclined person from like a culture perspective.
Yeah.
I've been a big hip hop fan. Grew up. I was fortunate enough to grow up amongst different cultures. In the hostel that I lived in when I was playing football.
Right.
So I was out of home from 16.
Right.
So living with the guys and getting exposed to different tastes in music and hip hop.
Taking in different types of energies from different types of cultures.
You know what I'm saying?
Which is embedded in you right now. Yeah.
Exactly, bro. It's when I think about it now, it's such a dope reference for me to always tap into and understand things that I wouldn't have been exposed to if I grew up in my sort of white household.
No cap.
Pretoria, so.
Pretoria. No cap. That's on no cap.
I mean, really, that's the biggest blessing football ever gave me was the exposure to the different cultures and stuff. Because what it did was it introduced me to this whole world of possibility that I would have never been exposed to. So my music taste, my understanding of everything, bro, from food to style to clothing to all those things were molded during those times when I lived with my teammates.
Right.
So I've always been inclined that way. So when I met that day in the park, we were having a conversation. We were talking about things like that, just overall opinions on rap music, and I think JR and I got into some engaging conversations. And I think at the end of that, we just exchanged numbers and we stayed in touch. And then a week or two later, he just hit me up and said, "Hey, man, pull up to pull up to the studio, bro. I want to have a chat." So I
For real?
Yeah.
Just like that?
Yeah, he just said to me, actually before we left, he said, "Yo, bro, I like the way you think. It was dope meeting you." And I was like, "Alright, shout out." He's like, "Yo, I'm going to hit you up. Maybe come through to the studio or the office." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And then he did. He really did. So shout out to JR. He hit me up.
Stand-up guy? Yeah, for real?
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah. He hit me up and we went through to his studio. It was in Woodmead at the time. I drove there, I was in the Ford Figo, you feel me? Straight from the agency, I had 6-pack of Heinekens on me. I said, "Yo, let me get you a jail." I pulled up, greeted him, we sat down, I walked into the studio, and that was the exact moment that I actually met Shane. Yeah, Shane was in the studio for the first time meeting JR, because JR was also interested with Shane.
Yes, he was. We all know about that.
Yeah. So walked into the studio, JR, Shane, boom. I had no idea who Shane was. I didn't watch The Hustle.
Yeah.
I just didn't think rap music lived in a reality TV show. I felt it was weird when I saw that whole thing.
Right.
But also, to be fair, like I haven't really had TV in the traditional way for years.
Yeah, because you've been in a hostel.
Yeah,
like,
bro.
It wasn't like a thing.
And then I was just like an internet kid.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like only streaming and like only, you know. So I wasn't aware of who he was. But we linked up that day and we met. And then, JR and I chopped it up over a period of time.
Right.
We were like just, I don't know, man, hanging out, figuring things out. For a couple of months, I think I must have been like kind of unofficially working with JR on things for the better side of 8 months.
But not unofficially working, like giving opinions on certain things.
Yeah, I think we were like
assisting with certain digital marketing strategies.
Yeah, I think it's hard to pinpoint exactly what it was, you know, but we were working towards trying to make an official business arrangement amongst ourselves. Like I think he wanted me to manage his label. At the time he wanted to get Shane on board. He was going to try and grow out the feel good music like record label. You know?
Right.
So that's what it felt like at the time, you know?
Yeah.
So when I say unofficially, I'm saying like we were working through that process to figure out what that looked like. Yeah.
Okay.
And it was cool, man. Like I learned a lot from JR, man. JR is a very he's got a very good musical ear. Mm-hmm. He's also a very good talented
definitely
guy.
see that. I mean,
he's got a lot of talent. I mean, I think JR is like he's definitely top tier talent. You know, I've never thought otherwise. Actually, I've always thought, even before I met him, I always thought, yeah, this dude's got a different sound, a different.
Yeah, I mean, his biggest song was at that point in time, "Make the Circle Bigger." Like that song. Okay, for me, outside looking on, that was the most culturally impactful song because it was this black guy communicating to a different crowd, but it still communicates to the crowd that's the color of his skin. You get what I mean? But absolutely. Other people can still relate to it.
White people,
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
It was really good, and he's good at that. He's very smart. You know, he's very smart. Yeah. So I learned a lot from him in that sense. You know. It was a good experience. But what happened then was, I think after a couple of months, you know, we went our separate ways.
Right.
You know, amicably to a degree. You know, things are always.
That's how life is.
Yeah, man. You're always just moving on. So we went our separate ways. I had left Feel Good Music. Like when I say left, I mean we just more drifted.
Stopped
Doing the thing.
Yeah.
Jay also was like focusing a lot on going into like sort of production stuff, which you saw now. All the production stuff he's done with his recent work. It's been great, like the Feel Good live sessions he's doing.
Yes, sir.
All that stuff's been excellent, you know. So he obviously drifted there. I went back and I kind of was then zoning in on the agency work. Obviously, I hadn't stopped working at the agency while I was doing Feel Good.
Okay.
I was still working permanently.
Yeah.
I was just kind of doing it on the side with him, building. And then, then I took a chance again. I focused on the agency stuff. That's when I got headhunted at that other agency.
Right.
I was starting up the department. At that time, I hit up Shane.
Why? And what sparked you hitting him up? I need to know that because I mean we all know someone is a good musician, or we always know someone is special, but like why specifically pick up the phone and be like, yo, let's have a conversation? Like what did you see what did you think you could offer him that he didn't have at that moment in time?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think so I had spent a bit of time with him, you know, at Feel Good, and I built a friendship with him. We had gotten quite close to a degree.
Right.
And I obviously saw him in studio, saw what he was capable of. Even outside when we'd hang out, like ideas we would have and stuff. And I saw this kid's got like a lot of talent, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, once again, that intuition thing kicks in, bro. Where I know that there's something inside of me that I need to explore, that I need to pursue, because I believe it.
Right.
Hard to articulate, but I knew that there was a calling and a drawing to doing something in that industry and in that space. Right. Especially because I had now a degree of knowledge from coming from the setup I was at, for a few months with Feel Good, and then having that knowledge and then having this feeling about like what it is that I really want to achieve. I thought. And then having the friendship with Shane at the time, I was like, okay, actually, maybe this is the way to go about it, you know?
Right.
And then I did a lot of thinking. I planned stuff on paper, and I tried to figure out like how this would work.
Right.
And then I hit him up. At the time, I hit him up, and his friends and his team at the time. It was like him, Nicole, and Shooter. So
right.
Obviously, I mean it's his girl, and then it was his best friend at the time that they like were coming from school.
Right.
So, you know?
Right.
I just hit them up, and we had a friendship, and I said, "Yo, guys, let's have."
And you're live on Dead Radio.
Right, so you guys went out for lunch.
Yeah, so we were having. So I hit them up. It was at the time it was Shane, Nicole, and Shooter. We went for lunch.
Yeah.
I pretty much just said to them, look, guys, this is what I'm thinking. I think that we have the potential to do this thing independently.
Right.
Kind of like just laid out the idea of Eagle Entertainment, brought it to them, and said like, yo, I want to plug in. I will provide X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And I think we can do this together, you know.
Okay.
And then yeah, shout out to them, bro. They a couple of weeks passed. We were just still hanging out, like, you know, you don't make instant decisions. Like
of course, yeah.
And then I think that was in about February.
So wait, hold up. So you basically mentioned Eagle not signed to Feel Good, in essence.
I think to a degree, yes, but to a degree that Shane was always knew what he was going to do.
Okay.
I don't think Shane was looking to sign to Feel Good on his own accord, because when I had left Feel Good, he had stayed for a couple of months still,
right,
feeling it out, and they did a couple of shows and stuff.
Yeah.
I think, you know, knowing Shane, he had made his mind up independently already, you know.
Okay.
I think that probably that conversation just provided an alternative option at the time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Which probably just helped along the way.
Okay.
He made his own mind up for sure.
Okay.
And then that was February of 2016.
Right.
That we had that meeting. And then I think we officially registered Eagle Entertainment as business partners on a 50-50 basis in May, on the 25th of May 2016.
Okay.
I remember that, yeah.
Okay.
So that's when we officially registered the business, and then we started working, man.
Did you have a plan? Of course. I mean, you work for an agency, so you had, I'm sure, everything detailed out as to how
I had a
things
plan.
should move.
Yeah, I had a plan. I had done a lot of my own research and like learnings. I also, at the time, said to myself, look, man, if I'm going to make this work, I'm going to need to make it work, you know?
Yeah.
So I quit my job that I was just headhunted at.
Right.
So after my 3 months at that job,
I
quit, yeah.
Right.
So I quit my 9 to 5. I opened up Eagle Entertainment with Shane, and then I also simultaneously opened up a creative agency called creative coalition. So
Okay.
Coalition. Right? So, and that business coalition I owned by myself.
Okay.
And then Eagle Entertainment, it was
Of
Shane
course,
and I.
yeah.
So, because I knew as well, when you're independent, or when you're going to do things independently, it's a lot of strain on a business, man. Especially if the well-being of the artist is your main concern.
Yes.
Which has always been like my kind of like I'm always inclined to care about the artists more than the business.
Right.
Which in strictly business music business terms is not always the most beneficial thing on the bottom line.
Because the artist is the artist. Yeah.
But like, man, it's just the way I am, and I take no regret on it. I love that. I love artists. I love creators. It's my thing, you know. So I knew that. So I opened up the agency to think, because in my head I thought to myself, what I can do with the network of clients I've engaged with over the years is I can start pitching to win some contracts, man.
Right.
You know, to win it through my own agency and set that up.
Okay.
So yeah, then I started doing that, bro. So
right.
Eagle Entertainment started, Coalition started in 2016, and then started working, man.
That's crazy. Okay, so obviously I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of what happens in Eagle Entertainment, because what happens. There's specifically one aspect I want us to tap into, though,
sure, bro.
Which is definitely so from an independent stance, right? Certain things had to be done in a different manner. And when I say in a different manner, it's in an unconventional manner, in a manner that you've never seen being done before, unless you researched or you studied specific artists at that time and place that were big independently. So how did you guys position yourselves in such a way that you guys were like one of the biggest independent acts at that point in time? You know what I mean? Like, how does that happen? Like, how does someone go from almost signing or probably not signing to having an independent label, and now like you guys are fucking shit up? Like, how does that happen?
A lot of things happen to make that happen, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if I had to try my best to explain it, is that you know, bro, at the time when we came together, man, we had like a very unified goal, a very unified energy, and like an undoubted dedication to what we wanted to achieve. Like we were fully immersed, in the dream and the idea.
Okay.
Right? And now, when we came together, Shane, obviously at the time he had the Vuzu gig and stuff, so that was work that he was busy pushing out. We were then, obviously I was also on the agency side.
Was that part of the plan? Like in terms of, obviously it's on TV, it's easier to push an artist after it's been done TV.
Yeah, I think we wanted
know your
to
face
use,
now.
we wanted to use the platform at the time as to our advantage.
Right.
Because you know that thing can go two ways.
Of course. You can stay there for good.
Yeah, you can become the presenter.
I mean, we've seen that happen, no names mentioned, but we've seen that happen a couple of times.
That's all
the reality of things.
No, but you're right. And I'm saying that the fear of that is that, not the fear, but the thought of it. You have to, whenever we think of things, bro, we have to consider both sides of the coin.
Of course.
Because otherwise you're not making an informed decision. So,
of course.
And also, bro, shout out to Shane, he's also very decisive. He also knows like how he wants to, how he knows he can handle things and how he knows he can finesse things when he's practically doing the effort.
Right.
So I think he did a really good job on Vuzu in that way.
Yeah.
And also we were strategic with it, man. We knew we could utilize it as a way to push the music. But at the time, we hadn't had big music out, right?
Yes.
We had, I think, we had a couple of singles out, and then we had that were doing well within the scope of the fan base we had at the time.
Right.
But then Mayo was a big drop with Speedster, so that was a good run late 2016.
Yes,
but during that period, from when we started Eagle Entertainment, we were working on Yellow.
Right.
You know, so in the background, that's why I'm saying that unification and that understanding of the dream and the dedication to that was undoubted. It was very much internal that radiated externally, you know.
Right.
And because we knew what we were cooking in the at that time, it was in one of my bedrooms in my apartment.
Right.
In 4 ways. So yeah, man, I think it was exactly that, you know, that unified energy on achieving the goal.
Yeah.
And at the time we were recording, you know, in a room in my previous apartments in 4 ways.
Yeah.
So I had sold my dining room stuff, and I moved my whole house around. That apartment became the studio, man. We had like rappers in and out of there. Like it was a crazy.
So you sold some of your shit, basically.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, I also bought studio equipment and stuff.
Right, with that shit. Yeah.
So I had to like also whatever I had saved up during my agency days, I invested into like studio equipment for us.
Right.
Where Shane and I were like, all right, cool, man, let's just do this thing. Let's figure it out. Like, so we
Bet.
did. Yeah, so we did. We put it up, and then we worked, bro. We worked nights on end, man. Like our engineer Odie. Shout out to Odie, man. He's like a real G, bro. He would like do all-nighters and then go to work at 6 a.m. Like it was a crazy year and a half, bro.
Right.
So to like add to the answer of that question of like how does that happen? It's that, bro. It's the little small sacrifices and dedications that you take as a unit.
Right.
When you're on the same path, that
Right.
adds to the energy internally that ends up radiating externally. You know? That's the best way for me
Dropping
to try.
the chakra pole bars, boy.
You know what I'm
Chakra.
But if I had to try and articulate it, was that I could never tie it down to one specific thing. It was a multitude of positive reinforcements, positive energy that really forged the way. But we did remain strategic.
Right.
We didn't just let things float. We allowed things to happen, but we also kept our head on our shoulders in terms of when to do things, how to do things, and
Give me one thing you guys did that you would say was the most strategic thing that you guys did.
at the time,
Yeah.
Julia.
Okay.
Yeah. So dropping Julia was a very strategic move
In which sense?
because if you guys remember,
Unpack it.
Julia wasn't on Yellow,
Yes.
and Julia had a music video, and it was a very big,
Yes,
one
sir.
of the biggest songs on our catalog
Right.
at the time. That was a very strategic move, and that also came out organically in studio. You know, shout out to Shooter. Shooter's like the producer that did the whole album.
Right.
You know, pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah, yeah.
He's an extremely talented, very musical guy. One of my favorite artists. You know, just in general.
Okay, so how did you guys, I'm sorry to interject you there,
No, it's
but
fine, yeah.
why did you guys do that with Julia specifically?
Yeah, exactly. So
What kick did it have?
So when we felt the music, it kind of dictated that's the move. Like, yo, let's put this out because it'll bring what we've kind of garnered as a critical mass in South Africa up to speed with what we about to do. With the album.
Okay,
And
okay.
it was a statement at the time because I don't think like anybody had really taken that approach to a song
Yes,
in a long
sir.
time.
Yes, sir.
And also just
Because even I was surprised. I mean,
yeah, and I
a
think
single
because
with
of
the music
image,
video.
yeah, exactly.
And the
because
music
of
video was quite good. Yeah.
The music video was fire. Shout out
Yeah.
to DNA for that. So the thing was the concept and the kind of perception of Shane at the time was something that you don't always have control over because that's also up to a audience to decide.
Yes, sir.
But we knew that a Julia would set the tone and would just shake that a bit.
Right.
You know? So strategically it made sense and also it was an organic thing. It wasn't like we said, okay, let's plan that thing and put it. It happened like that.
Right.
But we did understand that there was intention behind it.
Right.
Which I think is important. We can't deviate from intention just because it's organic.
Right.
You still have to find the intention. So yeah, I think to give you one, Julia was a big one because after that,
Everything was followed.
Yellow followed.
Right.
And then that did work.
Yellow was yellow. Yeah. Okay, cool. What are the key things for an independent? If there's an independent artist watching this, what are the couple? I wanna dumb it down to like what 5 things.
Yeah.
What are the 5 basic things an independent artist should know in terms of positioning? Number 1. Number 2, in terms of intention. And number 3, in terms of public opinions. And public opinions in such a sense that, you know, as an independent artist, you can literally go with the wave. You can literally be swayed by anything because there is no record label telling you, do this at this time and this. And so what are the key things as an independent artist do you think they should know in terms of those 3 things that I just mentioned?
I think so the first thing for me, bro, is like to be independent. If you are choosing to go the independent route with your artistry or your music, you must be prepared for the responsibility. I think that's the very first thing, is that I also know that it's become a fashionable thing to say I'm independent.
Yes, it's cool.
It's cool now, which is, I was saying the first thing that I would say if you want to be independent is taking the responsibility.
Right.
You must be ready for that because it's fashionable and it's quite cool to say now that you're independent. It's a very dangerous it's a very dangerous reason to get into being independent. Because the glory of independence is immaculate. It's beautiful. Like you reap the rewards really well. But the process of being dependent, that one is gruesome.
Why would you say it's gruesome?
You work to the bone to make a certain amount of money.
Right.
Because you're doing it completely on your own.
Right.
We were like fully independent, man. We were running the business, we were recording in our house, we were mixing, mastering in-house, we were producing in-house. You know what I'm saying? We were going to shows on
You're owning the whole chain.
We pretty much owned the whole chain. We only had an administration deal on our publishing.
Right.
And we had a distribution deal
right.
on our digital,
Right.
And our physical. And you work really hard to make a certain amount of income. You also invest a certain amount of money to make things happen.
Right.
And things don't always happen.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Just because you do that, just because you dedicated, work hard, invest, doesn't always mean that it works.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you got to be willing to go through that, and sometimes being in the limelight and being in an industry that shines a light on what you do, who you are, where you're from,
what you're driving, what you're wearing.
You know what I'm saying? That part is that you don't ever get to see the
nitty gritty.
Yeah, the gruesome
dirt
part.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of that, bro. It's a hell of a lot of that. So it's gruesome because you work really hard to put income back into the same machine, and a lot of the time it doesn't reap the rewards. Again, So there's that thing, man. There's like that real difficult, those real difficult decisions that you have to make, that you are accountable for. So taking the responsibility to do that is very important. And then holding each other accountable, if you have a team, is very important too.
Right.
But on top of holding each other accountable, you need to hold each other accountable because you believe in each other.
Right.
It's like if I work with you, man, I'm going to do that because I believe in you, and I'm going to expect you to believe in me.
Right.
And the basis of me holding you accountable for your role in this thing is because I believe in you.
Right.
Not because I'm trying to argue with you or find an excuse.
I feel like you can do better.
Yeah. It's like I know you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I believe in you. So I think it's vital to understand that the fundamentals of your relationships are that you guys believe in each other. And that's obviously got to do with the team that you build around you.
Yes, sir.
But then accountability is a strong layer that needs to be placed on that. I think another thing that is important for independent artists is to develop a strong why, like a strong reason why you do something.
Right.
Because those gruesome times and those difficult things are inevitable.
Right.
But it's not the bag at the end of the obstacle course that will motivate you for a long period of time. I promise you that bag gets smaller and smaller the more times you reach it. And when you're dedicated, you reach the bags. You do.
Yeah.
But those bags become smaller even though the money is not smaller. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
There's a time in your life where 50 racks is big money. Then there's a time in your life where 50 racks is nothing.
100%.
But you're going to keep going that obstacle course. So your reason why you do that, the reason why you will crawl through the mud, the reason why you'll have sleepless nights or pull up over the highway and throw up because you don't know how you're going to do this and do that. The reason why you do those things needs to be more than
money.
More than the money and the fame.
Right.
So the notoriety and stuff just becomes irrelevant after a while. It's like you become numb to it. So your why has to be rooted in the core of what you do. So that's what I would say is an important thing for independent people thinking to go independent. Is like first identify why it is you do this thing, and attach it to attach it to a message that is representative of yourself, but that can last.
Right.
You know, like, what are we saying?
Right.
That thing is important. And then also, man, like attachment, being able, developing a very high level of emotional intelligence,
Right.
is very important in an independent setup. Because frustration is rife, bro.
Yes, sir.
Shoo.
Yeah.
Frustration is real. You know what I mean? You gotta understand where your frustration comes from, and you have to channel it correctly. Because you can create problems in an independent setup that shouldn't be problems based off your lack of emotional intelligence.
Yes, sir.
So your so being able to rationalize with yourself before you project is very important, and it's just an important skill to have overall in life. But like specifically in a place where you're trying to monetize and systemize like art.
Right.
Because it's a passionate job.
Yeah.
And it's a
Emotional
touchy,
job as well.
emotional job. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So it requires you to actually be more rational, logical, and objective than
Most
ever
other things.
before.
Yes,
Exactly.
sir.
In most
Yeah,
other
yeah.
jobs, you know. So
Yeah.
so like that thing is very important, bro. And when I say attachment, it's like don't get too attached to money.
Right.
Don't get too attached to public opinion.
Right.
Don't get too attached to fame.
I was about to say that one.
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Don't get
Important
too,
one.
Yeah, don't get too attached to your music.
In which sense?
Music. So, at a point when you're making art and you're putting it out, right?
Yeah.
You have to be able to have a difficult conversation with yourself, and that one is, when I put this music out, like, who does it belong to? You know? It doesn't belong to me anymore.
Right. Anyone else can do whatever they
You
want to do.
download that music, now it belongs to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And once it belongs to the public, because it's a reality that what you create ends up not belonging to you, in that sense,
Yeah.
you need to also understand that you are not only creating this for yourself.
Okay.
It's good to have the expression. See, this is what I'm saying, it's a difficult conversation.
Yeah,
because I
you
do
need to
believe-
balance the two.
Yes, but balance the two is also like it's not always about balance. Sometimes the extremities are great.
Yes.
So you know what I'm saying? It's like an overall thing.
Yes.
So I'm saying in that sense, it's like don't be attached too much to your music, because you need to be able to take constructive criticism.
Right.
You need to be able to be emotionally intelligent enough to look at a response to something that you thought was good that wasn't.
Yes.
And be able to look at it and find like, how can I adapt? Or how can I better this? Instead of taking it, instead
Personal all the
of
time.
going, these people sleep on me.
Yeah, these guys don't know that I'm in.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that is also a possibility. Don't get me wrong. Like, absolutely that happens all the time. But don't make that the thing that you always say. You need to have the ability to go, what did I do there that I thought was the one but wasn't? And go and workshop that. That is taking yourself seriously. You know? I don't
Right.
think that's belittling or that's not insulting in any way. It depends on your level of EQ.
Right.
See? So like the attachment thing is actually interesting, and when it comes to the music and the actual product, you need to be able to, at a point, detach enough to appreciate that or to analyze it. You know?
Okay.
So like that would be like my fourth point, and I think my fifth point, man, would be to. It's a very serious like career choice, eh?
Yeah.
Like to be independent and to do this thing by yourself.
Yes.
I think there's an element there, bro, that I think on a lighter note is like, because it is a very serious thing, and because it is so strenuous and it can be really challenging, like, breathe out. You know, don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Breathe
Like,
out,
also,
yeah.
just breathe out, man. Understand, like, you're actually very blessed to be in a position where you can do things like this for a living.
And
you know,
how you want to do it.
and be in control. It's like, it's actually not heavy sometimes.
Right. Because I'm in
Sometimes it's
control.
cool. Exactly, man. Sometimes it's cool to just breathe out, hang out, live your life, let go, think clearly. Like, you don't always have to tie yourself to this never-ending idea of achievement.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes just exist, you know? like just exist. So like,
that's a powerful one.
have that ability. I think those are my 5 things I would say. I mean, obviously there's more practical things.
Yeah.
Like wise up on your contracts, wise up on your distribution deals, wise up on your publishing deals, wise up on how the music business operates. That one I think is standard.
Standard.
Like
It should be.
I'm talking about the
It's
intangibles.
2020, it really should be.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
if you're gonna say, yo, my EQ's high, I'm gonna do this independent thing, but you don't understand publishing, like, yo, that's not for you, man. Don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, you're already in the booby trap.
First, obviously, understand the business.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one
yeah.
goes without saying.
Okay.
But those 5 things I would say are like the things I've learned from practically doing it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, so now let's go back to your life. Okay, now
Yeah.
Ego Entertainment.
Yeah.
Fast forward, everything happens.
Yellow.
I don't really want to get into. I do have a question though.
Of course, but it's fine. Yeah.
I hate questions though. I know I've been asking like that, but digital streaming sites, right? Because you guys were on Times Square
Yes.
at one point. You know, I was saying like I forgot which project it was. Can't
was
really
Dark
recall.
Moon.
Right?
It was the most recent one.
How does that happen? I'm just very curious. Do people reach out? Do you know certain people, or do people have affiliations to what you guys do and really like what you guys are doing? Because I mean, I see that it's like, oh damn, shit, what the fuck, and everyone else sees it like, oh, what the fuck.
How the hell did that happen? Yeah.
Exactly. So how the hell does it actually happen?
I mean, over there, man, like what happened was I developed some relationships, man. Like I just over time cultivated relationships. None of that happened through any streaming platform, though.
Right.
Yeah.
So it wasn't put through Spotify.
No, it wasn't Spotify.
Wow.
It wasn't Apple Music. I went direct. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, I have a direct relationship now in the spaces that I've.
Monetary exchange, or it's just a verbal
No,
agreement?
there's always exchange. So
Okay.
when it's not monetary, it's value. When it's not value, it's monetary.
Okay,
You know?
okay.
I think like it's important to know that like
Right.
things don't happen just because you're good.
Of course.
Yeah, things happen because you're willing to make things happen. You know?
100%.
So I had an idea and I put 2 and 2 together. Just like when you're dedicated to something, you'll figure it out.
Yes.
Put 2 and 2 together, made a few calls, did a few emails, planned the thing, and then it dropped, and I just surprised the team. So, yo, gents, check it out.
Oh, dope. Fucking crazy.
In New York City, baby.
That's fucking crazy. Okay,
But I mean,
cool.
that was actually, so that was last year October. Last year, around about this time.
Yeah.
Last year, 2019.
Yeah.
But now we had already released Dark Moonflower.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Fast forward, Ego Entertainment. You guys go your separate ways.
Beginning of, I left, so I resigned my shares from Eagle Entertainment officially in January, February of this year. But I had like unofficially, mentally left the business in November, December 2019.
Right, and obviously I'm not going to ask you the reason, but you have to give me a reason.
Yeah, I mean, I think just to sum it up, I think, bro, like, you know how things go, man. You
Gravitate towards, I mean, you
things,
just
you kind of you know things
outgrow each
happen.
other?
Yeah, and I mean, like, yo, Shane and I, we had meetings about it. You know, we spoke about it.
Right.
And then I just made the decision to do it that way, and it is what it is. You know.
Amicable?
We keep it pushing.
So you guys just right.
Like I'm saying, it wasn't like
It wasn't like you're fucked up.
You'll pack the bags,
Fuck
man.
this shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's
It's like, you know what I mean? It's like cool. It's one of those things that happen. I mean, there's obviously nitty-gritties that are just,
of course.
that will always, I think there's certain things as men that always remain between men. You know?
Yes, that's how it should be
That
sometimes.
yeah, bro, that are important. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's not good. It's not bad. It's just things.
It's just things that just happen, and sometimes it's just how it is.
So we just figure it out, bro.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, so then I left Eagle Entertainment. So beginning of this year. So for the last 10 months or so, I've been independent, bro.
I mean, you've been though.
Pushing the things, but I'm not fully independent anymore. I've got a new business venture with some business partners that are really invested into me and to my team and the ideas. So
Is it
really great.
mainly music, or
Yes,
just coalition itself, or just mainly music?
So it's actually been on both levels.
Okay.
So the agency coalition, obviously, I'm still running that with Fred.
Okay.
So Fred's my guy, man. Like, he's been my guy for like 2 years, 3 years now. We've been working on a lot of stuff together.
Right. Yeah. You guys
It's a real
worked on the was it the Yellow documentary?
So
if I'm not mistaken.
we did the Yellow tour together back in the
Yeah.
day. We did the Busiso documentary. We We've done youngster CPTs.
But there was a specific documentary you guys did with Shane after Yellow. I just cannot recall on the name.
No, it was the yellow one.
Right. The one that was at the Bioscope in Maboneng.
Oh, that was Fred's short film. That was Fred's short film. Yeah. Fred actually wrote and directed that whole thing.
Yeah, it felt so... It felt like you guys like played a big part in that, just because I think Shane Eagle was part of that, Annie's music was part of the scoring. Yeah. So I thought I thought like you guys did that together, like
we did work on it together.
Jointly.
Yeah, no, we did work on it together for sure. Fred and I would like be on the phone for hours. That's when we really started developing a friendship at that point.
Okay.
And then it really developed well, man. We've been working together for a while, bro. That dude's a genius, bro.
Yeah, he's a stand-up guy.
He's a hell of a stand-up guy. Also a genius, like mad talented.
Right.
And we've done some cool stuff together. So top of this year, we found ourselves in a situation where we got some prominent business partners that have got involved with us on a sort of agency level where we have an existing client base and a team. And then on my side, I've been kind of also appointed to start up a record label.
Dope.
And the record label is called Stay Low.
Okay.
I mean, Stay Low is like self-explanatory, you know. I think like it's just like how.
Not necessarily. I mean,
it's like stay low, bro. It's like been like that my whole life. Just stay low, make moves, you know.
Right.
So opened up the record label this year. Made a couple of signings.
Okay. Lord Kez, Ovi.
Lord Kez is obviously one of them. Another artist called Mars Baby.
Okay.
He's an incredible talent from Cape Town. This is on the label side, and then Shooter, producer.
Right.
So those are the three artists I've signed on the label side, and then on the management side, I've got Zuchi Coke Dope, Pretty Ugly, Buntle, Herc. Herc is an incredible producer. Dude's mad talented, bro. Young boy, fire. And then Wichi 1080.
Oh, serious
Young
guy.
legend,
Yeah, producer from Midrand. Yeah,
exactly. So I've got like and then I've also got an artist called Katleho Mlambo.
Okay.
He's a chef. He's actually the.
Oh yeah, the homie that I met.
You met him on the rooftop.
At the rooftop.
Yeah.
What's this? The Hallmark.
Hallmark. Yeah. So he's the head chef at the Marabi Club, the jazz club.
Yeah, I know. Serious guy.
Serious guy.
Yeah, he should be next here, but
100%.
Yeah.
But he's my dude, man. He's also a really good talent. So yeah, man. So that's kind of the stable. It's got a management side. It's got a label side. We're working on the music. We're working also just on a couple of ideas in the pipeline. It's only been a couple of months.
Right.
You know,
still cooking.
We also haven't made any big official.
Right.
Noise, but I guess stay low.
Noise is not about that. You know what I mean? Like it's literally like the conversation we just had outside before we started this. That more so, what matters the most is really what you're doing on the ground rather than what everyone else sees. Because eventually, what should be known will be known.
Exactly.
It's just how it is.
It's like a lot of people spend a lot of time making noise but not doing the work.
Of course, because that noise gives you that instant gratification that shouldn't actually be there because you're not actually doing anything.
Yeah, I feel I get embarrassed.
Of course.
I get embarrassed by like the idea of like it praise. It's like a weird thing, man. Like I just kind of just pull back. You know?
I think it's definitely how I feel sometimes when people like dab me and it's just like, yo, dog, what the fuck? I didn't do anything, bro.
It's like, yo, I don't understand.
It's just a meeting, you know what I'm saying? Like people saying, yo, you look good. Oh, bro, I mean, it's a meeting. You get me?
Yeah.
So
that's kind of what I've been doing. From the beginning of this year.
Yeah, so we've literally covered your life. Okay, so
pretty much, yeah.
Before we wrap it up, what are your mantras? Like, so what are the things that you tell yourself in the morning that keep you moving how you move?
I think the main thing that keeps me motivated and moving, bro, is just waking up grateful, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
What are you grateful for?
Waking up grateful is the most powerful attitude that I've developed over the last few years. Man, there was a time where I wasn't waking up and working on a Lord Kez album. You know,
right.
That's an incredible talent.
Right.
You know, she's like one of the most incredible artists I've ever worked with. And there was a time where I never woke up to a Zuchi message at 3 a.m. with an idea.
Right.
There was a time where I wasn't able to like brainstorm a person like Bontle's future.
Right.
Work alongside a dude like Pretty Ugly, who's one of the most skilled rappers I've ever been around. You know,
right.
Work with artists like Herc and Wichi, who are like some of the best curators of music I've ever met. You know,
Right.
working with dudes like Mars Baby and Shooter, who are like so multi-talented and so like diverse in their understanding of art that it's like sometimes you just quiet and in awe, bro. Like those things never existed in my life at a time.
Right.
And now they do. So waking up and thinking about how privileged and how lucky I am to have that energy in my life really fuels me, man. It really like stimulates a sense of responsibility in me, and it really stimulates a overarching like feeling of gratitude.
Right.
And that gratitude prevents me from complaining. It prevents me from feeling sad. It prevents me from being frustrated.
Right.
It really aligns my mind to go like, yo, man, let me take this opportunity, really appreciate it, and not appreciate it by words, appreciate it by action, appreciate it by waking up and doing better, you know?
Ben.
So like, yeah, pretty much, bro, I would try, I'd say that that's my mantra. My mantra is that I wake up grateful.
Right.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
One last thing that I forgot to get into.
Of course, bro.
How do you maintain your relationships, business-wise?
You know what the craziest thing about a business relationship is that at its core it's actually a relation. It's just a relationship.
Yeah.
So like people go like, I have a good business relationship with this person. I've analyzed like that thing and gone, I don't want to have anything that's called a good business relationship. I just want to have a good relationship. So what that means is that in a business context, I'll engage with you as a person as opposed to a person that can do something for me. Or a person that wants something from me.
Right, so it's not transactional at all.
I don't want it to be at its
100%.
core. Yeah, so the way I maintain and manage relationships is to actually just treat it as that, bro. Treat it as a relationship. That's a human being with thoughts, like dreams, plans, agendas, strategies. So am I. Like, let's get to know each other there, and then the business can work itself out. You know?
Right.
That's like the most core thing. I think it's weird when you start going, I need to manage this relationship
So that I can get this.
Yeah, man. It's like I know people do that.
Of course, we in
but
Joburg.
it's just weird, bro. Yeah, it's
We're in
weird.
Joburg.
Like,
Everything is extremely transactional. I think I literally spoke about it the other day in this questions thing where I think I'm literally right now in a phase, or I think I've been in it, but I'm more consciously in it now where it's a thing of I feel the need to spread love without being like transactional.
Yeah.
Because it's almost as if we're almost being taught, or it's almost being embedded in us that in order for you to spread love, someone should be doing something for you.
Yeah.
And that's not what it should be. That's not how I think it should be. I don't think, look, this is what I think. I think the moment it's conditional, it's not love.
yeah, that's a fact.
It should be unconditional, and same goes for loyalty, and same goes for respect. Like
Absolutely.
the moment those things are conditional, it can't fall under the same word. It can't be the same. Can't describe the same thing, because all those things matter because they happen at different conditions, and you can still respect someone. You can still love someone. You can still be loyal towards someone, whether they did you not necessarily dirty, but whether. No matter what the terrain is, but you still gotta stay
There's a basic
low.
level of that, yeah.
See what I did?
You know what I'm saying, baby? But you know what you said. There's actually something there that I think is important to say too. It's like, bro, do you know how far basic levels of respect and loyalty go? You know,
Yeah.
I'm saying basic levels of respect is so lost in I can say this industry that we work in. I mean, people are very, very, very self-indulged.
Yes, sir.
And that is such a sad like reality, but it's also such a toxic place for the people who are doing that.
Right.
Because the respect, man, just the basic respect of to you as a human being, me as a human being, but to you as a creative and me as a creative is like such a rare thing.
Right.
That when you do practice basic levels of respect, you realize your relationships thrive.
Right.
Just that, man. Like I was saying in that point, bro, breathe out. Drake has a line in one of his songs where he says, "I hate how serious they take themselves."
Yeah.
I don't know what joint that's in. Fred will tell me.
He definitely will.
There's some line where he said that, and that is such a potent thing because when you've been in the industry to a degree, you know where that could possibly come from, and like that type of thing is so rife in the industry. It's like, yo, guys, don't take yourself so seriously because you don't show respect.
Yes,
you know what I
sir.
mean? Like if that thing is taking away your basic levels of respect for each other, you can miss me with that story, man. That's why I don't really involve myself too much, bro. Also, there's a point 6. I just remembered it now. Point 6 is like, be very aware of this. You must work in the industry,
but
don't be of it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Very, 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 very important. Don't be of the industry. Don't feel like you have to be of it to work in it.
Okay.
It's vital.
I think that's how we're gonna wrap it up. That's a very powerful thing. Thank you so much for your time, bro.
Appreciate you, Benji.
I appreciate you too, bro.
I should have worn dead, man. I didn't know there were going to be cameras. Yo.
Yeah, always cameras. But anyway, thank you so much, guys, for watching this episode of Dead Radio. Thank you for your time, and see you on the next one.
And you're live on Dead Radio.